Thank you, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Just correction, I'm not in Malaysia. I used to live in Malaysia, now I'm in Vietnam. But beautiful Vietnam is almost 10 p.m. here. So glad to be here. Listened with a lot of interest with the previous story. What a story, Lakeisha. Amazing. So here I am now, excited to talk to you, Michael. So let's get going. So hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rebirth Summit 2025, Stories of Unyielding Courage. I'm Payman Lorenzo, host of the Leaders Without podcast and YouTube channel, where I have been showcasing over 400 art-centered entrepreneurs from around the world in the last almost 5 years, as well as being a 4-time #1 international best-selling author, TEDx speaker, and international speaker at conferences around the world, as well as founder of the Profitable Podcast and YouTube Academy. I am a collector of success stories as well as goosebump-inducing stories that I've been showcasing on my podcast over the last few years. What I do essentially, I help authors, coaches, and speakers get their first and next high-ticket client by leveraging the tremendous power of podcasting and YouTube in as little as 30 days, even if you started with absolutely no audience to start with. I'm honored to be selected as an interviewer for this international summit featuring 100+ inspiring stories of transformation rebirth. And today I have the immense pleasure of interviewing a man that I consider a true leader of art after reading his bio, Michael Watson. Wow, Michael is a professionally qualified social worker with over 30 years of experience working with children and families in the UK family court system. As a seasoned independent social worker and children's guardian, Michael has provided expert witness testimony in complex legal proceedings. Drawing from his extensive courtroom experience, he authored Family Court, Giving Evidence, and Family Court to support others facing the challenges of giving evidence. Now, as a public speaker and founder of the Giving Evidence System, Michael empowers professionals with a proven 5-step framework to confidently navigate cross-examination and achieve the best possible outcomes in court. So, while reading this, I was blown away. I can't wait to get to know you. Michael, my friend, welcome.
Thank you so much, and thanks for the introduction.
Pleasure's all mine. Awesome. So, tell us, Michael, can you share with us your rebirth journey? What did you go through, and how did it shape who we are today?
Yeah, well, my rebirth journey started a long time ago. I mean, it's well over 30 years ago. I was a young, inexperienced social worker. I was naive. I mean, I was really naive. I took on a case, and it was a very difficult case, but I was young and green, and I wanted to learn and grow, and I was ambitious. But this case was something else. It was a young child. She was a 3-year-old child, and her parents were abusing her. But of course, I didn't know that at the time. I just knew that it was a very difficult case, and they were known to my local authority, but from another part of the local authority. And then they moved to the local part of the local authority that I was working in, and I took over the case. But I very soon realized that I didn't like to go and see the family. And I thought, and it wasn't that I didn't like to see this little girl, but it was that I didn't like to see the parents because the parents detested me. And they showed me that they detested me in every way they could. I was young. One of my weaknesses at the time was I wanted to be liked. But I wasn't liked at all. They really detested me. So it made it a very difficult and uncomfortable situation, but I didn't have an option because I was a child's social worker, so I had to go and see them. But I realized I didn't like to go and see them, and that's one of the things that was quite difficult. And when I did go to see the family, they wouldn't talk. This little girl would just look at me, and I was out of my depth. I was totally out of my depth. I mean, I was literally, if I was in the sea, I was right down the bottom. I was sinking because I just wasn't able to cope with what was going on. I didn't have the skills. I didn't have the knowledge to understand what was really going on. But as I said, this little girl kept looking at me. She would only look at me. And that was something that I just couldn't understand. It never made sense to me. But eventually what happened was I got, one day I went into work, my manager look was sort of like she seemed strange. She was just looking out the window. She called me into her office to talk to me, and then she said to me, "You're lucky. You're new. Your career's just starting. Mine's at an end. You'll get over this, and I'll get past it." And I thought, "What's she talking about? Get over what?" Because I didn't know what she was talking about. That's when she looked me in the eye and gave me the words. She mentioned the little girl's name, and then she said the little girl had been brutally murdered by her father that morning. And that is when my world, all of it, came tumbling down, because I
Wow.
didn't know what's happening. I didn't know what to do. There's a lot of things that happened as a result of that. Obviously, I had to go to court. I had to justify. I had to explain certain things. I had no knowledge of court. I had never been there before. So I was traumatized I was felt guilty. I was going through loss, this child. I wasn't prepared emotionally, psychologically, or professionally to go to court. But in any event, I had no, prior experience of what any of this was. This was totally new to me. I'd have to say it's probably new to some extent to even my managers and the people that I was working with. But when I went to court, and I wouldn't say I certainly, when I look back now, I was not prepared in any way, a reasonable enough way for what court entailed. And because I was not totally unprepared, and the way the court system is, I was literally, I would say it was a baptism of fire. It was my worst experience of my life up at that point. And in fact, even I've had some bad experiences. I lost a brother a little while ago. Very sharp, and it was very sharp, quick. But I would say, and that obviously that meant a hell of a lot to me. But I would say that the experience I had when I went to court after the death of that child and going through what happened at court, I'd say it's the worst experience of my life. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy ever.
Sure.
That's how bad it was.
Would you say that was your turning point, the moment that changed everything for you?
Yes, actually just after court. Because
Okay.
when I went to court, I was literally destroyed at court. When I was eventually released, I wanted to run a million miles away. I thought to myself, no way am I going back there. I never wanted to go back to court again or anything like that. And I was done with court. I was done with social work. I never wanted to do it any again. But something stopped me. And something said, no, Michael, that's not what you're going to do. You are going to go back to court again and again and again.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to immerse yourself in court. Because you know why you're going to do it? Because what happened to you today, you are never going to allow anyone to ever do that to you again. You are never going to feel that way again. And that's what I did. I went back to court again and again and again and again. I immersed myself in court until I could give great evidence, until I was able to become a children's guardian, an independent social worker, and then write my book and begin to help people. But that's what did it. Something inside of me. Part of it was rage, but it was something else as well.
Wow. So would you say, how did you basically find the strength to rise again from this very marking experience for you to say, you know what? I'm not going to let stop me. I'm here for a mission and I'm going to do good. How did you find the strength to overcome that?
I think that there was a number of things. I think before this all happened, I was quite, I had a lot of belief in myself in certain respects, not in every respect, but in respect of the work that I was doing, what I wanted to do. And I felt quite confident. This totally shattered my confidence. It totally shattered it. But there was something that happened. Maybe it was part of my upbringing. And maybe I suspect it was also something spiritual inside me. Part of it was rage. Part of it was absolute rage. How dare anyone do that to me? How dare anyone do that to anyone?
Yeah.
But it was so devastating that whilst I was in court, I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't deal with any of it. But when I got out of court, and I had time, because I never discussed this. Maybe I discussed it with one or two or three people. That's about it. But I've such shame, so I didn't discuss it. But I think what happened was it's absolute rage that it happened, but there's something else inside of me that said, no, this isn't right. This isn't right, and I can't allow it. I'm not going to allow it. So something, I mean, I was scared to death, but something said, no, you see, I'm not going to leave it there. It's not stopping there.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you didn't stop, because that's a powerful mission. That's what you found your purpose. And I've been making the world a better place because of that. So thank you for that. Now, what message would you give to someone who's currently going through what you went through?
I would say you're not on your own. I would say that, and it's not your fault either. You know, this is
Absolutely. Yeah.
something. What I realize is that there's things that happen in the world. There's things that happen outside the world. They're not always right. A lot of the time, in
Mhm.
fact, probably most of the time, they're not right. But they're not. You think it's you, and you think you're guilty. It's all you, and it's all about you being not good enough, etc., etc. And you have to realize it's not about that. And you think these things happen to you, but actually, when you really think about it, it takes time to get beyond certain experiences. But when you really look at it, you realize it didn't happen to you, it happened for you. It happened for you to become the person that you need to become. But at the time, and for a long time, that's not where I was. For a long time, I just gritted my teeth and I said, I am gonna get through it. You know, it was just rage and sheer determination, and not taking it, not taking it that rubbish. I'm not doing it. I'm going to learn it. I'm going to be able to manage it. That's what was going on for me.
Absolutely. And is that what led you to doing what you're doing now? And tell us about that, about the work you're doing, the impact. How are you making the world a better place around you and around the world through to your story?
I think, I mean, for over 30 years, I never talked about my story. I was embarrassed. I was ashamed about it. I suppose I hadn't healed. And even now, I suppose I'm still trying to heal from it. Still trying to heal from it. But I started I'm not sure. I wrote a book, and that was the beginning of things. And a year ago, I did my speaker training, public speaker training, and that really pushed me into it, because then I felt, okay, I've got my story, at least one of my powerful stories, and then I just wanted to get it out there, and now I use my speaking to elevate my profile to get this out there, and again, I think that, not again, but lots of people do not know how to defend themselves at court, because
Yeah.
they didn't know. Why would they know? They've never been into that process. Um, so vast majority of people, vast majority, don't know how to defend themselves at court. But you could be going to court any time. So what I'm using my story to raise people's awareness of what can happen at court. I'm using my story to raise people's awareness of the service that I can provide for them. Because most people, I think, well, they're going to go to court. They think, oh, just solicitor. Solicitor can help them up to a certain point, but they won't. When it gets into the court, they're on their own. And
So
a
is
lot
your work mainly for people in the UK or worldwide?
it could be worldwide. There's a difference though, because I know that in the UK and lots of lots of parts of Europe, you can't coach your witnesses. I
Yes.
think in America you can to a larger extent. Tell you which support your witnesses, and to a much larger extent. But in the UK you can't, and lots of bits of Europe you can't.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
still, witnesses need to learn the skills. They need to learn so many skills when they're given evidence, and they need to learn that well in advance of when they get in that witness box. So it's really important that
Yeah.
they learn what they need to do, how they need to manage it, how it's an emotional and a psychological game, and they need to master that if they're going to do well at court. So I help them
Fascinating.
with that process of in fact, that's what my 5-step system is all about, really.
Fascinating. Awesome. Tell us, Michael, what does the word rebirth mean to you personally?
I would say it means to, obviously, rebirth, but, born again, becoming what you want to be,
Mm,
becoming what you want to be and feel that you need to be. That's what it means to me. It means, developing who you are, who you want to be. Because a lot of time we go through life and things hit us and they knock us, and we sometimes shrivel. We sometimes shrivel instead of growing. But rebirth to me means looking at yourself and deciding exactly who you want to be, and then being that, assuming you that person, and then going on, consistently to become that person, become who you want to be.
awesome, awesome. Perfect segue. If the world could remember one thing from you and about your story, what would that be?
Difficult to say. There's so many things, but one thing that I suppose would really hit me is this: there's nothing you can't do. Nothing you can't do. You can do whatever you want to do. All you have to do is decide. You have to make an irrevocable decision. Like my decision at that time was that this is never going to happen to me again. So it didn't matter what happened. It didn't matter who the judge was. It didn't matter who the barristers were. Whatever. It doesn't matter what the situation was. I was going to make sure that that was never going to happen to me again. I put it in here and I put it in here. I put it in my heart and put it in my head. And that was it. And once you get to the position, there are lots of things that happen to people in life. And we tolerate an awful lot. We tolerate more than we need to. But once you get to a point where you decide you're no longer going to prepare to tolerate it, that is the beginning of it. Because that after that time, if you really mean what you're saying, you won't tolerate it. It won't happen. You will change your life in whatever way is required. You'll change it to deal with that situation, so it won't happen because you're no longer prepared to tolerate it. So that's the one thing I'd say. Yeah.
I couldn't agree more with you. Thank you. That's so beautiful, Michael. Thank you for sharing your beautiful, truly inspiring, empowering, and truly goosebump-inducing story. Thank you for sharing your very beautiful story. Your journey is really a beacon of hope. This has been another incredible conversation on the Rebirth Summit 2025, Stories of Unyielding Courage. I'm Payman Lorenzo, and it's been an honor to host this beautiful interview with this incredible story by Michael as part of the global movement for healing and transformation. Stay tuned for more interviews from courageous speakers from around the world. Until then, and next time, signing off.
Thank you.
This is Rebirth
Thank
TV.
you so much.
Take care.